I have to admit, I had this dream that I might become a real estate agent here and be on Caribbean House Hunters. We didn't talk to our kids initially, early on about it.
In the early on stage, it's still a dream, right?
Yeah.
We didn't need to scare everybody, but then
When we got closer and we made the decision that we were going to move a lot faster than we thought we were going to,
Yeah.
and we were looking at boats, we did sit our kids down and tell them. And our kids were not happy. It wasn't about the dream. It wasn't about the boat. It was about we were going to live 1,400 miles away from them. We were actually talking about it with our friends. So they've been super supportive of us from the beginning, but not without telling us that they thought we had lost our minds.
Welcome to the I Decide Darlings podcast. I'm Erin.
And I'm Lisa. We are moms, wives, best friends, entrepreneurs, and authors of the book, I Decide, the happy little guide to living your best life. Pull up a chair, grab a glass of wine, and get ready to talk all things health, success, loss, money, family, and everything in between. These two besties won't leave anything off the table.
So get ready to laugh, cry, hear the tips, tools, and stories to give you the success you crave, the life you adore, and the future you deserve. You are listening to the I Decide podcast.
we were before.
Welcome back, everybody, to the I Decide Darlings podcast. As always, I'm Erin Lopez.
And I'm Lisa Cox. Welcome back, Erin.
We're back.
Oh my.
Okay, and we're back with a little tan too. I'm not gonna lie. I mean, we're looking a little glowy for the beginning of January.
Yes, we are, and I'm so excited for you to introduce our guests and our dear friends that we love with all of our hearts today. It's going to be a big day for us to get to talk to our guests.
This is fun. We always say with our guests that we love just to kind of have chit chat and talk like girlfriends, but today we are all friends. So this is going to be fun. And I have the honor and the privilege to introduce to you all our guest today, Wade and Tippee Ball. They are not only dear friends of ours, they are entrepreneurs that are creating time and financial freedom on the beautiful seas of the Caribbean. And when I say to you, their story is nothing short of amazing, we're going to talk about all things dream it and do it and how they ended up living and working on a boat and taking crazy people like us all over the Caribbean. And so Tippee and Wade, we are so excited to have you guys today on the I Decide Darlings podcast.
Welcome.
Thank you.
Thank
We
you.
are super
We're very
excited to be here.
It's quite a story to tell. And before I have you give us more of your just personal history, I just want to go back to such a fond memory when Erin, the kind of the reason why all this whole I Decide everything and when it was getting started, Erin and I went. We actually flew down and with our spouses and Erin's kids, and we went on their sailboat that we're going to tell you all about how the sailboat came to happen, how their career came to happen, how it's just the craziest, best I Decide story out there. But when we were talking about writing our book, and we were so excited about all the I Decide moments that we wanted to share from people all over the world that were having those moments in time that changed everything for them. And then talking to Tippee and Wade about theirs and what they've done. And then not only that moment in your life where you make that decision and then executing on it. And that's where their story is so, to me, happily complicated, because they took their I Decide moment and their I Decide decision and they executed on it in the most incredible, beautiful way, so professionally and so thoroughly that's part of the story. Is just, when we wrote this book, we're like, we want to share everybody's moments, but it's not just the moment, it's what happens from that moment forward. So we went down and with our families and we got on their boat and they took us out for several nights, and I think 4 nights and 5 days. And we actually had the book launch for the I Decide book that Aaron and I wrote together on their boat. So we have so much history and so much fun. But today we're going to learn how they did it and where it all started from. So, okay, first of all, Tippee and Wade, tell us about pre-whiskey business. Like, tell us about you guys, a little bit about your family and your history and where you were before you made your big decision to do what you did. And you're going to share about that too later. But
You want to start?
Sure. So we were both married before to other people. We had children with other spouses. Um, when we, oh, I was working in corporate America. He was also. I worked for the same company for 32 years. Had a great career, but it was a corporate job. And I, when I got out of college, I just thought that's what you do. You get into the corporate world, and that's your life, and you do that until you retire.
Same for me.
Yeah. So when Wade and I met, our kids were almost grown, and we when we first came together, we both loved water, but we're both also adventurous people. But we had both lived very normal, corporate lives, family lives. We never stepped out of the box.
Where were you living? What?
Yeah, so I lived in South Carolina most of that time. Wade jumped from Charlotte.
Atlanta, different careers. Ended up in South Carolina, and that's how we met.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so when we met, like I said, our kids were mostly grown. I'd been with Merck Pharmaceutical Company for, I don't know, 28 years at the time.
Super
And
successful at that.
Oh.
Doing
And I loved my career. But when Wade and I met, we came down to the islands. I had been here and loved St. John, and 30 years ago had this idea in my head that I would love to retire here. But
we just came down for a vacation.
Yeah, we just came down for a vacation, and Wade fell in love with the islands.
Okay, I have to stop you right there. How many times have our listeners, okay, every single time I go somewhere on vacation, I'm like, I could live here. Like I could stay. I could start my life here. I mean, I think a lot of us have that feeling, but you guys did it.
Yes.
Yes.
And I will say that first time that we were here, we talked about it a lot, and we talked about, well, if we moved down here, what would we do? We're both neither of us can sit idly. Like, we're not going to just sit on a beach and hang out after we retire. We knew we needed to do something. And I have to admit, I had this dream that I might become a real estate agent here and be on Caribbean House Hunters.
You'd be great at that.
No joke.
I can see that, actually. I mean, I'm not surprised you had that dream.
No joke. I did think about it. And then we were here. We sort of kept talking about it. We had like a 5-year plan, but nothing in stone. We weren't really talking about it on a daily basis. And 2 years later, we came back here and we got married here. And when we got married, Wade rented a sailboat, a catamaran, after our wedding, and they took us out, made a beautiful dinner. We spent the night on the boat, and we sailed the next day. And by that point, we really both already knew that retirement was most likely going to be here. We just didn't know what that was going to look like.
Right.
And we were out on the tramps, and it was pretty sporty, very similar to one of the days you guys were on our boat.
Oh, yes.
And the water was splashing up on us on the bow of the boat. And we both looked at each other at the exact same moment, and we said, we can do this.
I think we can do this.
We can do this. Like, we could do this.
Wow.
And so the interesting thing was that didn't die when we went home.
Yeah.
So we started talking about how we would execute that. We still
giving me chills just thinking about it all over again.
I didn't know that.
We still had a 5-year plan at that point, and we but we did start researching. We didn't let it die. Like, we made it a daily conversation about how we were going to get there and what it was going to look like. And we started, watching YouTube videos and
researching how we would learn to run a boat. I had
Because
to get my
no sailing experience. Like, you're like the rest of us. Like, we can rent a boat, but I don't know how to drive a boat, right? Like,
right.
okay,
yeah,
right.
so I had learned to sail in Charleston when I lived in Charleston, South Carolina. I had learned to sail off the beach in an 18 square and a Hobie cap, but that was the extent of my sailing experience.
I had never sailed before, but have had power boats over the years, and so I'm familiar with boats and know the boating rules and stuff like that, but I had never sailed.
Okay, but you're sitting on the front of the boat and you're like, we can do this. Were you thinking already like we could leave everything behind and sell everything? Were you that like we could do this? Or were you just like, this would be fun in our retirement? Like, how far was it at that point?
I don't think in that moment we thought we're going to drop everything, sell everything, and
Right.
just go into this in the next, year. I think we still had this 5-year plan. I guess we really felt like that we needed to learn enough about it. I wanted to finish out. I had a certain number of years I wanted to finish out for like my pension and things like that,
Right.
in the corporate world. And then so we bought the boat 2 years almost to the day from the day we made that decision.
Yeah.
Which was 3 years ahead of our plan.
Which is not a lot of time, really. I mean,
it's
2
not in the
years.
grand scheme of things.
No.
But like Tippee said, when we got back from that boat trip, we were really focused. Every spare minute that we had available, we were Googling different things about the boats industry here. Is the USVI the best place to do it? And what kind of boat to get? How much money we want to put on a boat?
Yeah.
So there was a lot of decisions that had to be made leading up to that point.
Neither of us had any kind of experience. Literally knew nothing about it. We had never chartered a boat other than that boat and spent the night on it.
Wow.
When you're going through all of this, like, I'm thinking of, like, you're newly married, you have a blended family now, you're dreaming up these like ideas for the 5-year plan. Were you telling your kids, like, were you telling your family, like, hey, this is what we're thinking of
No,
doing?
they were like,
No.
bye-bye. Bye-bye. See y'all.
Not
I mean, I'm kind of feeling like, too, your kids would be like, yeah, do it, because then I'll have a place to go. But it's also the alternate, like, because, it's the like, what about where's mom going to be?
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk to our kids initially early on
We
about it.
didn't talk to our kids.
I mean, in the early on stage, it's still a dream, right?
Yeah.
So we didn't need to scare everybody, but then
When we got closer and we made the decision that that we were going to move a lot faster than we thought we were going to.
Yeah.
And we were looking at boats. We did sit our kids down and tell them. And our kids were not happy. Like, they were really not happy. It wasn't about the dream. It wasn't about the boat. It was about we were going to live 1,400 miles away from them.
Yeah.
And I think they all processed it a little bit differently.
definitely.
And today, I think they would all say that they're thrilled that we stepped out of that box and made this decision, not the least of which is they've had, 5 years of being able to come and be on a beautiful boat that they may never be able to experience otherwise.
Yeah.
But I think too, it's actually brought our family a lot closer together, and I think it's taught our kids that they can step out of the box too, and they can do things, and they can be entrepreneurs. And it's also, I think we're a lot closer to our kids. We spend a lot more one-on-one time with them.
Agreed.
Because we are so far away. We are very calculated about FaceTiming with them, talking to them, but we go home often and we spend one-on-one with them. Just like we're headed home tomorrow for a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
I think what you're doing, you're giving them such a gift too, because you're showing them that life isn't exactly what we think it is, which is we go to school,
Absolutely.
we get married, we get a job, we work until we retire. I mean, and I can only imagine how hard it is and was for them to accept it. But like in the big picture of things, like you're teaching them a lesson that not many of us ever get. And like watching you all go through this process of now you're this experienced captain, you're watching you all work harmoniously together on the boat, which is not easy.
Mhm.
um you're showing your kid, you're giving them such a gift, and I know that they realize it now, but you're also giving them the gift of focus. Like when you're with them, you're purposeful of like spending time with them, and that I think a lot of us take for granted. So
Do you mind?
I think
Do you,
oh, go ahead,
I'm
Lisa.
sorry, Tippy. Do you mind sharing your ages when you got into this?
So I was 53 and you were 51.
51.
Yeah.
I only bring that up, I mean, because I think it's so important. I think so many people think life is over when you turn 50, or life is over when you turn 40, or I have to stay with what I'm doing. You know what I mean? Because I'm 40 and I have to stick in this thing. And I think it's so important. And you give such hope and inspiration, like Aaron said, to people that age doesn't matter. You can reinvent at any point in your
Right.
life. And this is such a
Mhm.
beautiful example of that. I love it so much. And I do think it would be hard. I think that my kids would have responded the same way. I think my kids
yeah.
would have wanted to kill me for doing something like that. But yet what they've learned and what you've taught them is such a beautiful, beautiful lesson. And I'm so happy that it made your family even closer together. That's just so wonderful.
Yeah, we were actually talking about it with our friends who are on the boat right now with
Mhm.
us. So they've been super, super supportive of us from the beginning, but not without telling us that they thought we had lost our minds.
Right.
But we're going to support you, but we
Yeah.
think you've lost your mind. But they've been with us since the first weekend that we got here. They flew
Yeah.
down for Thanksgiving that year, and now they're here probably for the last time. And it's just we were talking to them about how
I just got chills.
I know how far
Mhm.
we've come, and how even though they didn't understand our dream, would never have done it themselves, they were just supported us and loved us,
Yeah.
and now they're like, we're so happy that you guys chased this, and I have to say we've had many ups and downs through this whole process. The learning from it has been just incredible. It's not been all great. We've
There's
had some really tough times that we've weathered through this, but
yeah.
it's taught me at least that chasing your dream, you chasing your dream is hard.
Yeah.
Like you have to put your head into it, your heart into it, and your soul into it.
Mhm.
And when the bad stuff comes, you have to just remember that you're learning something through it that's going to help
Mhm.
you down the road. And I think for me, I've been on a couple of personal journeys that are very different from Wade on this financial journey. I was always a control freak about money and about having, security and all of that. And what the last 5 years has really taught me is that there is so much more to life than that. Like
Mm.
living
Mhm.
every day versus working to live. Like, I mean, literally, I don't know. It's so hard to explain, but that's been a huge journey for me. And
Dream it, then do it.
yeah, and I mean, I think that's it. The dream it, then do it mentality that we have. I feel like that we not only do that, but we encourage. We talk to people all the time who are like, "Well, we want to do this and we want to do that, and but I just don't think we can, or we don't have the money, or we don't have the time." Or I'm like, "You have the time, the money, whatever you want to make. Like you can do it.
Right.
You just have to decide that you're going to do it." And that's what we did. We
Mhm.
just decided we're going to do this, and we don't know what it's going to look like. We don't know how much it's going to cost us. Uh,
We had setbacks along the
we
way.
did.
We're just the type that we're gonna find another way to get where we want to get
Yeah.
to.
Failure was never an option.
No, failure is not an option.
And when
So
you
Which is so true in so many things in life, right? I mean, like being an entrepreneur, in business. I mean, I love that you said like chasing your dream is hard, and I think that that's what so many of us need to hear is that it's not easy. I mean, what you guys have done is definitely not easy, And it also relates to somebody, being in a at-home business, or being an entrepreneur, or being in a new marriage, or whatever it is. I mean, I don't think life was meant to be easy. And I think you guys are such a testimony of it's hard. I mean, I remember distinctly the stories that you guys have weathered, no pun intended, of, the lightning strike, that not ruined everything, but like it was a huge setback.
Mm-hmm.
Wade, what do you think? Because a lot of this, I love it because you guys are this strong couple that have come together. But Wade, like for the people listening out there, like being a man and providing stability, and taking your new bride onto this, like what did you learn along the way besides becoming like an amazing
Yeah.
captain that can weather the storms? But like, I know you've learned some amazing life lessons that you're taking away from
Mm-hmm.
this.
I'd say the biggest one is that Tippy and I, we learned that we work really good together. Um,
Agree.
and even in a small space, um, we generally are together, wake up together, and do everything together all day long.
You guys have
And
seen.
yeah,
Hard to get away from him.
yeah. So I mean, that's the kicker. I think it's brought our marriage even stronger. The fact that we did do this together, and we've been successful at it together, and we're already looking, for the next adventures together. So I'd
Yeah,
say that's the biggest thing that
yeah.
I've seen that we've experienced.
I think that just I mean, I think we've both always been resilient people. And that certainly helped us. But I think we've learned a level of resilience that I could never have imagined
Mhm.
going through this process. I mean, some of the downs were like deep, dark hole downs. Like we gonna have to crawl out of this. We came here with two charters on the books, and we came in the middle of COVID. We had no idea like how we were going to do. We had no idea how this business would do. We didn't know, we really didn't know what we were doing. Like, but we were committed to learning and to growing and to figuring it out together.
Well, and we also aligned ourselves with some really great people
True.
that were here and already in the chartering business. And so we knew we couldn't do everything on our own by just Googling it. We had to get some right people to talk to and get the facts from them. And they've been awesome in helping us get started, telling us things that we didn't want to hear the first season.
Lots of things we didn't want to hear the first
Like,
season.
like we thought we were going to do it one way, and they're like, no, that's not how this works. And
Mhm.
they kept guiding us along, and so that was a huge help.
I think,
And let me just say a side note real quick. We came, like Lisa mentioned, years ago when you were fairly new. It was right after COVID had, and I only know this because I was going through old pictures looking. And like you said, you had two charters, starting this. I want you to tell them how many you have this season because I know the answer. But just so you guys know, like they say that, and, sailing around the Virgin Islands, US and BV, like these people, we would pull up somewhere and they would be like, "Hi, Tippy. Hi, Wade." I mean, like, it was crazy to me, but I think that it shows too, like the community that you guys have built. And I can't even imagine the people along the way that you have created these bonds. And, people, here's what I know about you two is that people book their vacation, their family vacation, they come and stay with you. And I can guarantee they are leaving lifelong friends with you guys. For
Yes.
sure.
Hmm.
that's very true. And we have 22 charters on the books this year.
Hmm.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
You know what? One thing that really stands out for me is, and being a newer boat owner ourselves of a different type of boat, but a big boat that could be, I mean, boats are dangerous. First of all, boats, you have to, first of all, they're worth a lot of money just themselves, but you guys are not only responsible for the boat and the boat safety, you're responsible for lives. And when we were on the boat this week with you guys, I mean, you take such good care of us, and you're such smart captain and first mate, and you're always cautious for our safety, whatever we're doing, because a lot of times you're going to have guests on there that are real idiots, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're doing dangerous things. But you guys are responsible for lives and the boat and the people around you, and it's a huge responsibility. And one of the things that Steve and I noticed, and that we've talked about, this was our third time with you guys on the boat, and every time what we noticed is your communication is beautiful. It's smart. I'm sure a lot of it was taught to you, because some of that was taught to us when we were learning how to drive our boat, how we have to talk to each other. When someone's in the front of the boat getting ready to grab, the buoy to tie it up, or the mooring, the other one has to be talking and giving the directions. But you've taught us a lot in that category. And I think some of those lessons that you guys have taught people and shown us, and really done a beautiful job learning, also relate to everyone's lives. You know what I mean? Like, I think about just marriage in general. If we could all be so communicative, like there were other lives in danger, you know what I mean? Then we would probably make a better couple in the end. And so I think that is something that you guys just exemplify when we're around you. And also it shows your incredible commitment to learning your skill so well. And so I think about when people are like, if our listeners right now are at home and they're like, I have a dream. I have something I want to do that's so, such a 180, like what Tippee and Wade did. What would be their number one piece of advice? What would you tell them that would be the first thing to do, if they're thinking about it? Because a lot of people want to do what you guys did, and they can't. They can't execute. They're terrified. So what would you tell them?
Gosh, I mean, I think the key to us being able to execute is, I think first and foremost, was in the day that we made that decision. It wasn't
here today, gone tomorrow
yeah,
thought.
we got off that boat and we went back to our Airbnb, and we started immediately talking about what that would look like. And we went home and we kept talking about what it would look like, and we kept it alive, like on a daily basis.
We researched it.
Yeah. And I think that's part of where the dream falls apart. You're sitting on a beach and it seems so beautiful, and you're like, I could live here. But the reality of trying to make all that happen and actually live there becomes like daunting.
Yeah.
It becomes too big. And so I would say it's kind of like the old adage, what is it? How do you eat an elephant?
Mm-hmm.
One bite at a time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yep.
And I think that was, at least for us, the key was just to, one, keep the dream alive, and just to keep
the ball rolling forward,
and just to keep researching and learning about the things. Like, I love to cook, and my kids always told me I was a great cook, but I never imagined I'd be a chef on a yacht. And
you are a dang good chef too,
and an amazing
one.
Holy
smokes!
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's been extra. Thank you for the extra pounds I now have to take off. Been sitting on your
It's so boring being at home. I'm like, okay, who wants chicken for dinner? Like,
Steve's like, Lisa, Tippee would have had dinner on the table by now. What are you doing?
Oh my gosh, yeah.
We're so sorry for that.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah.
You are a phenomenal chef. But again, that's like taking the next step too, right? Like you said, like, you knew you were a good cook, but what's next?
Yeah. And I'll be honest, I think one of the best pieces of advice that I could give would be, even if you're scared to death, to make that next step. Because when we were making our passage over here, I was a complete stressed wreck. And it was all about that I didn't think I could measure up to be a chef on a yacht. I didn't know if I had the skill. I didn't know if I had the talent. And we had a captain on our boat, and I was researching all this stuff and just going to the nth degree. And we had this old captain on our boat. He was like 78 years old, and he was helping us through the Bahamas. And he was real crotchety, and he didn't really care for the guys, but he really liked me. And so he and I would sit in the salon while we were on underway, and I would be like typing and just go, just as hard as I could. And one morning he asked me, he said, "What are you doing? What are you researching? Like, whatever it is, like, I think you're probably putting too much effort into it."
He's like, knock it off.
And I told him what I was doing, and he said, "I'm going to give you a piece of advice." He said, if you serve your guest anything like what you have served us on this passage so far, they're going to love you, and you need to be you and do you. Do not try to be somebody else. It looks like you're trying to be you. You're trying to be other people. He's like, stop trying to do that and just be you. And people will appreciate the authentic you, and they will appreciate what you bring to the table. And I have to say, best advice I got calmed me down enough to really just start thinking about the things that I love about cooking and the things that I love to cook, and not trying to create like all this exotic stuff that I thought other people on other chefs were doing. So that was a huge learning curve. And so I will say this, it's okay to be scared. In fact, if you're not scared, you're probably crazy.
Yeah.
You should be scared.
True.
Right.
But you should also not let your fear stop you from moving forward. And sometimes I think that does stop people. They are afraid of failing, afraid of falling down. We weren't afraid to fall down, and we fell down plenty.
Yeah, we
But
did.
we were back up on our feet as fast as we could get back up.
That's incredible.
Well, I mean, I love that you say that too, because it is. I mean, a lot of things that we do, like, it's persistence, right? And it's perseverance of keeping going and keeping going. Yeah. I mean, I have to say too, like what you guys have done too is you've seamlessly done what you're doing, which is you're running this yacht and you're doing it very well. You're also very conscious about what you're putting in and on the seawaters to make sure that we're keeping it clean. And you're also running a home-based business all while doing all of this. So I think what people need to realize is, you're not you're living the dream because you're also kind of having your hands in like different little things that are keeping you going. And I mean, can I say it without saying it? I mean, are we writing a cookbook?
We are.
Right. So it's just, I mean, like, to me, it's mind blowing. Like when I come back and I think about what you guys have done as a couple, not only are you running this, beautiful boat with 20 plus, voyages or whatever, people coming, you're also running a home-based business. You're also writing a cookbook. You're also making sure that you're doing well by the earth and the world. I mean, like your social media is on point. I mean, when you guys say like you've taken life to the next level, like you've done it. So my question to you both separately is, rewind back to the corporate world, the going through the divorce, the life pre Tippee and Wade. Like, what would you tell yourselves of what the future could hold?
You go.
Jinx.
So I would say, I would have said, find something that you're passionate about and make a business out of it. Don't spend your life, working in a job or working for somebody else that you're not passionate about just because the world tells you that that's the right path. You were supposed to go to college and get out and get a corporate job and get married and have kids. And then your kids are supposed to go to all the best schools and, go to college. And I would just say, you don't have to live that life. You can, be passionate, find your passion and chase your passion and make a living at it. And then it's not you're not making a living, you're actually just living your life. And I think for me at least, I would have told myself, quit worrying about money. Quit worrying about money. There's always opportunity to make more money. And don't be so stressed about it.
Yeah, that's such good advice.
And I would say very similar. I mean, if you're in the corporate world and you're happy in the corporate world, that's absolutely great. But if you're not happy where you are, whatever job you're in, there's always hundreds of things out there in the world that you can, if you put your head down and you dream it, you can do it.
Yeah.
Everybody can do that.
We have our youngest daughter right now is kind of going through this, and I'm trying to coach her through. Um, she she's 25 and she's been working in this really nice high-end boutique and she's managing it, and she's learned that she has this incredible passion for this, like a boutique and fashion and the buying process and all of that. And so the lady that owns it is wanting to sell it in the next couple of years, and her daughters don't want it. But this is a very, very high end store. They've got a tremendous amount of inventory. But they have the rights in that area to, like, Steve Madden and Free People, and so it's a fabulous opportunity. But it's a there. She's asking a lot of money, and for a 25-year-old, that much money, I couldn't have probably even imagined that at 25. But I'm trying to push her to imagine it, and we'll find a way, like, for her to be able to do that.
Do the research that she needs to do, and but she's already basically running the store.
Yeah.
So,
but for a 25-year-old, $1 million plus seems like it's completely unreachable. But I hope that we can help her figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
Do you think that you would have told her that same advice if you wouldn't have done this experience? Like, I'm just wondering, like,
Yeah.
if Tippee and Wade, like, if you would have stayed, you got married, you kept your jobs, you stayed kind of working through what life looked like. I almost wonder, like, if she came to you with this idea, you probably would have said, like, it's too much money, it's too much
Yeah.
work,
I think you're right. I think that's exactly what we would have told her. Or, maybe think about that dream 10 years from now,
Right.
not now. But now I think I would tell any of our kids anything is possible. Anything, you just have to want it. You just have to do the work and go after it.
I think a lot of people are held back because their parents, out of the wanting to keep their kids safe in life, we want them to take the safe option. And many of us want to do that too for ourselves, when actually we have a desire or a passion to go a different direction. But our brain is like, how do I stay safe? You know what I mean? And then we miss out on some really big things, like what you guys did. This is a big thing, and you could have missed out on it if your fear came in and you stayed safe in your careers. And so I think that's a big lesson for all of us. And as parents, I'm listening to your story and I'm very inspired to make sure when my kids say, I might not want to do this anymore, I really think I might want to do that, instead of me saying, oh, well, you're trained for this, you should stay there. I really want to encourage to follow the passion. And we all know life is short. We need to be doing things that inspire and thrill us every single day, because we don't know. No one's guaranteed tomorrow. So I think what you guys have learned and taught us is just absolutely a beautiful, really important life lesson. And it definitely inspires me. So thank you guys so much.
Yeah. One of my favorite quotes is, you should do something every day that scares you.
Oh, I love that.
So good.
Yeah.
And if there's another one, that if your dream doesn't scare you, then it's not big enough.
Yes. 100%. 100%.
Yeah. But yeah, I think you're right, Erin. I think that I would probably not have told Carson that. But I sure it's we've learned over the past 5 years that we have all kinds of things that we want to do moving forward, and they're out of the box. And we're not scared anymore to just jump off that ledge. I feel like we jumped off that ledge with this,
and it worked.
Into the water.
Yeah.
Into the water.
I mean, we're so incredibly blessed, I would say, and grateful too. I mean, we have been tremendously successful, and I think it's been a combo of a lot of different things. But I wouldn't trade this experience for anything. Like,
no.
Even the worst moments, like, I wouldn't trade them.
It's been overall, it's been an awesome experience for us, and it's going to be a bittersweet when we walk away from it. But
What
it's
what do the next 5 years look like? Since we talk in 5 years, what do the next 5 years look like for Tippee and Wade Ball?
Yeah, so part of it we know, part of it is still in the works, but we definitely want to spend. We have, as you mentioned, we have our home based business, and we want to invest our time in that business.
yeah,
We believe wholeheartedly in all of those products, and we want to spend more time building that business and bringing people on board so that they can have the opportunity to live more freely financially and
right.
to be able to do the things that they want to do and not be tied down by a 9 to 5 job. So that's part of our passion moving forward.
Mm-hmm.
We also have a charter brokerage company that very organically started 3.5 years ago, because we were so booked that we couldn't get people on our boat,
Yeah,
and we had to push them over to other boats. And so we started this brokerage company, and that company needs some love, and so we're gonna love on it a little bit. But we also have a couple of other ideas of things we want to do. We just bought some property in the North Carolina mountains,
Hmm.
and we've never built a house. We've renovated a house together, but we've never built a house. We're going to build a house, and
Amazing.
I don't know. I might open. I might do some catering and open a like a gourmet food store, or
Gosh.
I
yeah,
don't know.
Make sure you have your key lime pie there.
Oh
yeah,
gosh.
Oh,
yeah,
oh my gosh.
Amongst other things, but holy cow, was
Yeah.
that key lime
Well, and
pie?
when you launch your cookbook, we'll have you back and we're going to talk about some of your recipes because you
Yeah.
know I'm obsessed with cooking and your cooking is amazing and I can't wait to buy your cookbook. So we'll have you back on and we'll talk about the cookbook and
Mhm.
and the future of Tippee and Wade.
Oh,
Mm.
fun. Well, I'm
yeah,
excited about that project.
yeah.
I finally really got it well underway, and so it's moving and progressing.
Amazing.
So
Well, one quick thing I do want to say, and this is just not a shameless plug at all, but when we've come back and we've told people and they've seen our amazing pictures of going on this boat with you all, I have said to every single person, like, this is a vacation that every single person should experience in life. Like, it's so different and it's so like removing yourself from the world. And I can't
Yeah.
explain it to people other than they have to do it. And, you know, like Lisa said, like, when you walk up from your cabin and all of a sudden Tippy has this amazing meal for you, like, it's just, and the adventures that we took together, the memories that we created, you cannot experience that through anything else. And I do think that people think that it's unattainable, that I could never take my family on a yacht, on a catamaran for 4. Yes, you can. And you're basically booking an all inclusive on a beautiful yacht that is an experience that if every family needs. I mean, you've come a little bit farther, that now that there's internet on the boat. I'm not going to lie, I kind of did like it when my kids couldn't get on the internet. um, but you're still being removed. So I wanted to say that I truly believe every person listening to this. But like I tell people all the time, you have to take a vacation like this with your family. There is nothing else like it in the world. And even if whiskey business isn't around, I would not trust anyone else than Tippy Ball to find
Yeah.
me the right boat to go on
Yeah.
and what to do. So again, not that is honestly how I feel about the experience that we've had with you guys, myself twice and Lisa and Steve three
Me
times.
too.
yeah, well, thank you. I
Yeah. Thank you
appreciate that
guys.
trust. That means a lot to
Hmm.
us.
It really does.
And you're right about friends. I mean, we've met some of the most amazing people through this process, and traveled now all over the
Hmm.
world with those people. We
Hmm.
just went to Italy in September with some friends who've been on our boat 3 times now.
Right.
We went to Alaska
Alaska.
last year with some friends. They came for Thanksgiving, and then in June we were in Alaska with them for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah,
And we've had so many people that have been repeats over the years,
including you guys.
Yeah.
including you guys. So
Yeah.
I think that the repeats tells you that people do come, they have this experience for the first time. They really didn't know exactly what it was all going to look like, but they stepped a little outside of their comfort zone and they came. And before they leave the boat, they're talking about dates that they can come back next year.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, it's so much fun.
It's been very humbling. I will
Yeah.
absolutely tell you that. This season, at the end of the season, we have a 3-time repeat, a 4-time repeat, and a 5-time repeat.
Amazing.
And
Yeah.
it's just, it's very humbling to us, because I can just say, for me, when I travel, I'm a kind of a once and done girl, like I've been there, done that. There are lots of places that I would like to go see, and that takes up a spot for that, if I'm going back somewhere for the second or third time.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
so to me, especially, it's super humbling that people want to come back. And I feel like that we've made so many lifelong friends through
Yeah.
this process, and we've learned a lot. People have taught us so much. I would give this piece of advice: don't be afraid to learn. Don't be afraid to tell people that you don't know. We did a lot of that.
Yeah. Align ourselves with the right people
Right.
that could give us the answers that we were looking for.
Mhm. That's so smart. I think that's good advice for any business, any entrepreneur.
Mhm. Well, I know that we've aligned ourselves with you all and vice versa. So I think we're all in good company.
Yes.
Yes.
Tippee and Wade,
We
Well-
thank you so much for being with us today. I love your story. It's so inspiring and so beautiful, and I can't wait to see what comes next for you both.
Mhm.
Well, thank you. And you guys are going to be right there beside us, whatever we're doing.
Yes, you will. Absolutely.
Well, Wade and Tippee Ball, I mean, lifelong friends forever, but like Lisa said, your story is just one that we don't hear often. So we're just so appreciative that you came on and shared it with us today and shared it with our audience. We're so excited and proud of you all. And we had a darn good time last week too. So,
Yeah.
We did too.
We had a blast.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah,
so
thank you so much for having us.
Thank you
Oh,
guys very much.
we love it. And guys, we know that you have heard something today that struck a nerve. If it's, get out there, dream it, do it, work hard, do all of the things. Please share this with somebody you know that would learn from this too. And you know what? Somebody that might want to take a vacation too. So Wade and Tippee, thank you for being on the I Decide Darlings podcast. And we will see you all soon. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye, ladies.
You've been listening to the I Decide Darlings podcast. If this podcast touched your heart, please share it with your friends and family right after you subscribe yourself.
Don't forget to head over to iDecideBook.com and grab a copy of our favorite book and daily journal. As always, thank you for being here, and we can't wait for you to hear our next episode.